Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Lunar Temple Podcast. So, it has been a little while since my last episode, and I would have really liked to do an episode for the lunar eclipse and also for Bealtaine or Bealtaine May Day. But yeah, life's just been really, really full on. There's been some heaviness as well. Like we have, as a family, both on my side of the family and my husband's side of the family, there's lost quite a lot of people so far this year, and we had another loss around that eclipse time. So yeah, I was trying to be kind to myself and just give myself lots of space and also just 2-year olds, man. They are next level. And so there has been a lot of intensity with with Orla as well, just navigating some of her leaps at the moment and her incredible birth chart of having half of her chart in Aquarius. So very stubborn, very strong-willed, and definitely knows her own mind, but not easy at this age when you're trying to keep them safe or you're trying to get to things on time and all of that. So yeah, and also Bealtaine is my birthday as well, and so I'd actually given myself a nice bit of space around that to go out and do some things and enjoy some things for both honoring that turning of the wheel of the year, but also to honor myself as well and to celebrate my birthday. So yes, things have been busy, intense, and a little bit heavy. And I know from speaking to many people over the last few weeks that has been a shared experience. I know that there has been a lot of difficulty, a lot of challenges in terms of work, in terms of relationships, in terms of, again, grief, people being very ill, people passing away. So yeah, just wanting to to say that I understand and sending you all lots and lots of love. What I'd like us to explore this time in this podcast is a few things. There's a few things heading our way. There's a few things that we can reflect upon from what has been happening. And just a few things that I would like to share with you about what I have been up to and what is coming up for me personally and with my work as well. So one thing that I wanted to invite you to do, I've been thinking about this morning as I've been kind of pottering around the garden, and I went into town yesterday and got some new candles and some things for the house, and I thought, you know what, I'm really feeling the need to do a little bit of a house blessing after all of that intensity with eclipse season, with Mercury retrograde, which finished yesterday, although I would beware the Mercury retrograde shadow. And that shadow will last for a couple more weeks. I'm sorry. So that will finish on the 31st of May. But I do feel a sense of completion with that. And I've been seeing a lot of posts online kind of celebrating the end of Mercury retrograde. And so, yeah, I was thinking, do you know what? I need to do that in my home because I have felt that eclipse season, and I've really felt that retrograde. There's been so many things that have gone wrong, lots of chaotic energy, and I think that is also being intensified by Pluto going retrograde as well. So yeah, something that I'm going to do in my house for this week is a really nice smoke cleanse through the house. And then I'm going to do some house blessing candles, so anointing candles, setting them with intentions and having those in various places in the house, just to bring that sense of renewal, that sense of fresh energy and new beginnings. And lovely week to do this, as we have got the new moon in Taurus happening on Friday. And so what I might think about doing this week is really cleansing the space in honor of the waning into the dark moon. So always remembering that time is a really powerful time to let go of stuff, to cleanse, to release, to purify, and to really think about the things that you don't want to take with you into the next lunar cycle. And this is just a straightforward new moon. There's no eclipses, so it's a really, I think, a really positive new moon to be welcoming in. Taurus really invites us to look after ourselves, to get grounded, to really connect back into the earth. And this is a beautiful time of year to connect with the earth element and the abundance of Mother Nature. There is so much, blooming right now. Where I live here in Kimber, just walking into the village, everybody's got wisteria. So some of the wisterias look like they've been there for like 20 or 30 years. They're enormous, and you walk underneath them and the smell is just heavenly. There's also still all the tree blossoms are still out, and then we've got all of these like beautiful spring into summer flowers. So yeah, Taurus kind of asks you to just take a breath, slow down, feel your feet on the earth, and really pay attention to what is around you and how you can lean in and really enjoy what is appearing in the natural world at the moment. So yeah, that's a little invitation for you for this week, is to really think about the intensity of the last, it's not a few weeks really, it's probably a month, isn't it? Thinking about that solar eclipse, and then sorry, I'm losing my voice a little bit today. Yeah, thinking of the last kind of month really, and thinking it's time to clear out the old and make space for the new. And particularly if there are other things that have happened in that for you that you just want to forgive or accept or let go of and release. And then thinking of inviting that new moon, that new lunar cycle energy into your home, whether that's like I've been explaining with house blessing candles, or you want to go out and buy some beautiful flowers for the home. The other thing that I think is really nice to do in honor of Bealtaine season is to invite nature in. So maybe thinking of creating a wreath for your front door, or a wreath for inside your home, or decorating the hearth, but just thinking of inviting the season in. And this is one thing that I also wanted to talk about today. Something that one of my teachers mentioned recently, and something that I had already been thinking about and contemplating as I observe social media and the ways that we, collectively perhaps honor these times of the year, is there's a tendency, I think, with any of the Wheel of the Year celebrations to be in a hurry to celebrate them, or in many cases it's leaning into becoming a bit performative, and that's not a criticism. I think sometimes we can do things, without thinking them through, without asking ourselves these questions. But, it's a helpful thing to check in with about ourselves and our relationship to seasonal living. Seasonal living and cyclical living have become really trendy. And whilst I love that and I appreciate people wanting to welcome these things into their life, we have to ask ourselves the question, are we really living cyclically? Are we really living in tune with the earth? Or is it just that we are paying lip service to that by, I don't know, it's May the 1st, and we've making sure that we've done our post on Instagram or Facebook, happy Bealtaine or Bealtaine or May Day, however you celebrate this. I think in Welsh it's Calan Mai, but I don't know if I've got the pronunciation of that correct. But lots of different ways of honoring that time. But then, is it just for the day? And what else do we do for it? Do we hold it in our hearts and in our bodies as we move through the rest of the season? there are many, many points on the calendar that you can celebrate each of the Wheel of the Year festivals. And there's often a lot of disagreement about which one is correct. There is, probably like 3 or 4 different points on the calendar where you could say, this is the day, this is the day. But as I've spoken about often in the past, for me, they are seasons. And they're seasons because, one, I like to give myself plenty of space to immerse myself in the experience of each of those turnings. But also, if we're really living with the wheel, we're really honoring nature, then it will be different every year. And one thing that is very apparent this year, because of the extreme weather that we've had over here in the UK in particular, is things are late. So things are late to flower. Some things have not actually survived this winter. And, many people have said, it doesn't actually feel like what it would normally feel like at this time of year. So I know there's people that are actually delaying their Bealtaine celebrations because they don't feel that yet. Like, they don't feel that start of summer has really, really happened. And that is what Bealtaine represents: start of summer, the start of the light half of the year. And whilst we can say that is the case for the sun, in the terms of the journey of the sun, it might not be present in our natural environment. So this is what I wanted to ask you, and I asked myself this too, and I've really thought about this deeply, and I'm trying to honor this more and more, is, we have to be really living with the land if we want to be living seasonally. And I know that sounds really obvious, but is it obvious? Because are we just posting online and paying lip service to these celebrations whilst not actually paying attention to what is going on in our own garden, or in the local countryside, or in the local farmland, And one of the things that my teacher spoke about recently is this sense of collaboration with nature too. So when our ancestors, when we're looking at these practices, and I'm not just talking about, ancestors of the land that I'm on, but any ancestors who would have lived with their land, with their environment, which they would have all done, they would be looking at what was going on in the natural world. And if things were late, if crops were late and there was a danger of them failing, there would be the sense of community coming together and making prayers and making song and making rituals to ask for help from the god or goddess or whatever deity that they're honoring, to wake up the land. Things like dancing, I think a lot of the traditions around the maypole, for example, were this idea of waking up the land, or receiving that energy from the ley lines. So they would put maypoles in places where ley lines were to get that energy up from the earth. Collaboration, the sense that we're part of nature, because we are we are part of nature. And we've gotten to this point, haven't we, this kind of capitalist patriarchal overculture, where we've managed to somehow position ourselves outside of nature. Even this idea of us on top, being able to control, being able to just take whatever we want and there not being any consequences, and being an observer. So I feel like sometimes we're doing that, like we're observing the turning of the wheel, but we're not collaborating. We're not saying, do you know what, the weather has been really bad, and what this means is crops are going to be late, crops might fail, this is happening over here. So let's come together and let's pray, let's sing, let's dance, and try and shift some of that energy. And that is what people would have done when we look at the rituals. For example, with Bealtaine, it was all to do with that. It's like a successful growing year, and so much to do with fire and the purification of fire and smoke and ash, singing, dancing, ritual, and appealing to gods and goddesses. it's not a performative thing. It was genuine concern. And I think that's what we need to plug back into, is this understanding that these rituals had deep significance and meaning and function. And we can bring that back in, instead of just being like, oh yeah, May the 1st. Okay, happy Bealtaine, everybody. I'm going to do this. And then we forget about it. But to really think, okay, what am I wishing for everybody? I want there to be enough resources as we move towards the summer solstice. I really want there to be fertility in the land and in people's lives, really plugging in to the collective and to community. And I think that is what we have lost, and what needs to be brought back in to these celebrations and to these practices. And when you see places that are doing this, it's so inspiring. So I've been following along with the incredible festival that happened in Ishnak in Ireland, and the amazing Bealtaine bonfires that they had there, and the ceremony, and the kind of almost carnival appearance with people dressed up in these incredible costumes, this real honoring of the land and the green man and the Mother Earth goddess. It's on my wish list. I need to go see that and be in that experience one day, because it looks absolutely incredible. So yeah, just a little invitation to really check in with these seasonal practices and how we're honoring them, and not getting so caught up in, is it this day or is it this time, and what people used to do, in terms of like just telling other people what people used to do. Look to what people used to do to inspire what you're going to do. The wheel of the year is a living thing, and it can change according to how the seasons have shifted and how they're showing up in our own life, and it needs to stay living. We're getting very good, I think, nowadays at just writing lots of things down and sharing information, and things are getting very stale, and the life force is kind of going out of them, the magic is going out of them, and the integrity, sometimes I feel, is going out of them. So I'm going to talk about this a lot next year in my priestess training that I'm offering. So really how to be in relationship with nature's wheel in a really integrated an authentic way. And we will look at a lot of the history of these practices, but we won't get lost in them so much that we're forgetting to connect with what they mean to us now on the land in which we live. So that is something I'm thinking about a lot at the moment, because I'm preparing all my content for next year. And I'm also super, super excited to be offering a sacred cycles section on some yoga teacher training next year. So my wonderful friend Anya, who runs the Core Strength Vinyasa teacher training, I've taught with her before COVID, and when I had my studio. And I've had a little bit of a break just from being with a little one. But yeah, things are in place next year for me to be teaching a few modules on the 230-hour yoga teacher training, and I'm going to be talking about all this. So working with the moon, working with the seasons, working with the wheel of the year, and then looking at goddess and divine feminine, and how to weave all of that in to yoga if you want to. So I will put the link underneath this episode if you're interested in that. And we're also going to be doing some separate modules to the full teacher training for anybody that's already a yoga teacher. We're going to be doing that from September this year. So if you just want to get the sacred cycles section and a few extra modules, I don't know if we've got information ready on that, but as soon as we do, I will share it with you. So yeah, maybe too, the other reason that I like to have the wheel of the year celebrations as a whole season, so this one, for example, with Bealtaine, this will run all the way through till the summer solstice on the 21st of June, is sometimes things happen, don't they? If you've gotten sick, or you're away, or you're busy, or life has just been really full on, and that whole week of the 1st of May has just gone, and you're like, I haven't done anything, I don't feel like I've connected with it. So the reason I like to have these as seasons is so that you can really integrate this stuff into your daily life in a way that works, because I know how busy that we all can be, and it's not easy to just be like, well, I'm going to do all my Bealtaine celebrations or my Bealtaine celebrations on that day, and then, you know, again, it becomes really busy and it becomes really overwhelming and it becomes really forced. So this is my invitation to you, if you've not had a chance to do anything yet, to just think, look, I've got till the 21st of June to really honor this. Maybe I'm going to decorate my house. Maybe I'm going to make some, I don't know, like aromatherapy blends that I'm going to use for this time. I'm going to go and visit places that are really relevant to this time of year. It's really nice to visit places of, what do I want to say? I'm losing my words a little bit today. Sacred sites at this time of year are really powerful, and particularly places of sacred water, I think, is a really, really beautiful thing to do for this season. So we went to the Malvern Well Dressing Festival and drank from the beautiful healing waters of those wells, and I taught Orla how to drink from the well and anoint herself, which was absolutely adorable to watch. Visiting sacred sites that have hawthorn trees. So the other thing, going back to the land, you know, many people would not celebrate Bealtaine until the hawthorn tree was in blossom. It's called a bay tree for that reason. And there would be the sense of waiting until it's in flower. And again, that has been quite late for a lot of people as well. So going to a place where there is a hawthorn tree, and there are a lot of documented rituals that people did with hawthorn trees, where they would tie bits of fabric to the tree and make a prayer or a wish. And the idea being that as that fabric dissolved away, that wish then would be released into the universe, or released into the arms of the goddess. But again, looking at this from a modern perspective, what is happening is people are using material that is not biodegradable, and these trees are being kind of congested with all this fabric that isn't going to go anywhere. So if you are going to go and do that, or you have a tree in your garden, just make sure that the fabric is biodegradable, and the idea is that it disintegrates and is released into the environment. So yeah, we just want to make sure that it is something that will decompose, but also that as it decomposes, it's not going to bring any harm. On that note, it's probably turning into a ranty episode, but the other thing that I posted about this on my Instagram the other day is this idea of being in collaboration with nature, being part of nature, and not just having the sense of taking from it all the time. And the other thing that's become really, really trendy at this time of year is bluebell season, right? Bluebells are divine. I adore them. I think everybody is a little bit enchanted by them. But what I'm seeing a lot online is people having these really beautiful, photo sessions, photo shoots in these bluebell meadows. And, this is leading to them getting trampled. And the bluebell is actually a protected flower. So if you were to be caught digging up bluebells in the woodland, I think it's a £5,000 fine. So they are protected. But the other thing, and I think that not perhaps people realize this, but they are incredibly vulnerable and sensitive. So if you trample on a patch of bluebells, they don't recover from that. If you tread on a nettle, you tread on a dandelion, or, they're very, very sturdy, and they're very able to kind of shake it off or just regrow very, very quickly. Bluebells are not like that at all. It can take them up to 7 years, in fact, to recover from being trampled, if they recover at all. And then it takes them that long to also then duplicate and create their little colonies. So when you see an area of woodland bathed in bluebells, like a sea of bluebells, which is a sight to behold. What that actually is showing us is it's a sign of an ancient woodland, and to leave it alone. Yeah, so there's a lot of work being done, I'm sure we're aware of, in the UK, to really, really protect woodland, to protect these species of plants, as well as the wildlife and the animals and their habitats. But yeah, this is one thing that I'm like, we can enjoy without needing to put ourselves in that environment. We don't need to be centered in that experience, in that scene. We can enjoy these things without walking into that meadow, without putting our feet on the bluebells. So I wanted to speak on that too, just to again come back to that sense of collaboration, and how we can be in this beautiful relationship with the natural world. So when you behold something like that and you see that amount of bluebells, just think, oh my goodness, this is ancient woodland. This is a chance to really connect to the history of this place. And it's interesting too, because folklore used to protect us from making these mistakes, because nobody would step off the path into an area of bluebells for fear of being taken by the fae. And the other reason for that too is that bluebells are highly toxic, to both humans and animals. So, it's interesting, isn't it? Like, folklore used to kind of protect us a lot from damaging things, but also hurting ourselves as well. So this is something that I'm really conscious of as a parent, like wanting to, to make sure that Orla grows up knowing how delicate these things are, how beautiful they are, but also, don't step off the path. So let's keep them protected. And the same, soon it's going to be foxglove season as well, and they are absolutely glorious, and they are highly toxic. So again, view from a distance, enjoy from a distance. So yeah, enjoy the bluebell walks, but just having that in mind. And it's just an interesting thing to witness, the way that we are in relationship with the natural world. Like, often it does has this element of it as what can I get from this, where you think, no, like, how can I protect this? How can I educate myself more on these environments, and how to protect them, and how to speak about them? And that's a beautiful space to be in. And that makes the elementals, the fae, the goddesses, the green men, all of these energies, like, very, very happy with us, very pleased with us when we operate from that place. So on that note, I wanted to share with you actually my grimoire that I'm currently working on. So the reason that this is a nice little segue is I've done a whole section on bluebells and folklore, but sorry, not but. Again, my words are just not coming out very well today. So yeah, I wanted to share this with you. This is a work in progress, and what I am using as base for this book. Now, those of you listening to this as a podcast, try and do a little flip through or over on Instagram. But also, if you just have like a spare few minutes, if you just go to the YouTube video, and you can just skip ahead to this section and have a little look. But what I'm using is an old book that I found in a National Trust bookshop. So I think it was £1, and I really love the texture of the old paper. I know that there are people who feel very strongly about not doing what I'm doing and not using books in this way, but I don't feel that way, and I'm quite happy to work over the top of this one. It's very, very interesting. Anyway, I pulled this book out. It's called Lighter Moments by Bishop Howe. And I just liked the size of the book. I liked the cover. And it wasn't a book that I thought, it didn't feel like I was going to be painting on the top of something, that was like, I don't know, like a special book or something like that. But interestingly, as I've been reading along, there's a lot of stuff in here about Shropshire and Shrewsbury and places where, I've lived and places where I've grown up. But also some language in here that's kind of really derogatory towards women. So I was quite happy to paint over the top of it and collage over the top of it. So anyway, the noise in the background is Bowie having a big yawn. He's just sleeping at my feet. So yeah, so what I've been doing is using Wilko tester pots, the house paint tester pots, which are brilliant, by the way, for coverage. So I've been using them to paint over the pages. I've been leaving it a little bit faint so that I can see some of the text coming through. I like that for texture. And then I've been using collage. So I have a magazine that comes with my donation to the Woodland Trust. So there was a whole feature in there on bluebells. So I've been using that to collage, and then my own kind of little drawings. Oil pastels work really nicely on top of this layer of paint. So here we go. I'll show you this for those of you that are watching. So yeah, just I just really liked this, the paint, and then the slight kind of hint of the text underneath. I've actually done a wash of paint over the top of the magazine images as well, just to kind of bring it in to cohesion with the rest of the pages. I've just really enjoyed doing this, to be honest, and like finding the bits of folklore out about the bluebells, how they're sometimes referred to as witches' thimbles. Yeah, and it says here, bluebell bulbs thrive in the moist, rich soils of long established woods. It is said that those venturing into bluebell woods become pixie-led, dazed with enchantment and left to wade for hours, unable to find a way out. If a child picks a bluebell, they may be snatched away and never seen again. And as adults, hearing a bluebell ring sounds our death knell. So yeah, I've put those all in there. And then the other thing that I've got, so these were bluebells that are actually in my garden. So I haven't pinched any from the natural world, the outside world, I should say. So yeah, I dried these last year, and they've been glued in as well. So that's there. And then yeah, I just wanted to share with you a little bit more of the grimoire. So this is just like really just collages of what's inspiring me at the moment. Pine Marten is showing up for me a lot. Those of you following on Instagram know I'm painting my drum at the moment with the image of a Pine Marten. What else have we got? This little bit more woodland inspiration, fairies. This is all about blossom. It's not finished, but I'm like enjoying the color of this. And then this is another page, kind of associated with this time of year, really talking about primroses and talking about May Day folklore and the Fae. And yeah, this has just started, so you can kind of see how I'm beginning to piece that together. So yeah, wanted to share that with you. Those of you that are in my current course, the Green Witch course, we're doing a lot of grimoire work at the moment. And it's been really inspiring to see what people have been coming up with and their own styles and things like that. Oh yeah, and the other thing that I wanted to share with you is I passed my first year in herbalist training. So we had a 6-hour-long written exam, and it was really intense. I was so tired the whole week afterwards, but then when I got my results, I was so proud and so pleased with putting in that much effort. So yeah, that was the the first year complete, and really that year has just made me realize how much there is to learn. So a few people have asked, like, oh, are you going to be practicing? And you're like, well, I feel like it's like the tip of the iceberg in terms of what we've learned, and I'm just entering into the second year, which is more kind of magical herbalism. We are doing a lot of tree lore. We're going to be sitting with trees, which is like just amazing, and learning about the lore of them and how to work with them and meditate with them. We are learning how to create incense, which we did a first one for Bealtaine, and yeah, just I was so excited. I wanted to learn how to do that for a long time. So yeah, slightly different vibe for the second year, but I'm really, really excited to be digging into all of that stuff. So yeah, for me personally, I feel like I need to integrate the knowledge a lot more before I start practicing, just for those that were asking. But we'll see. I'm trying to just kind of walk the path for myself and my family first. So using, tinctures and salves and teas to kind of help our health and well-being, and just really, really getting that like deep familiarity with it before thinking of expanding any further. So watch the space for more for more on that. And so yeah, like I said, we've started the second year, and that will go right through until June next year. I'm also after, I did my Reiki training 14 years ago, I think it would be now. So this is when I was living in Sydney, and I did level 1 and level 2, and I've been practicing ever since, and I adore this healing modality. I think it's brilliant. It's brought a lot of healing to my life, and I've shared it with like family and friends, and then my clients absolutely adore it as well. And I have wanted to do more with it. I've wanted to do the other levels, but I just haven't found anybody since that teacher in Sydney that I really connected with. And then I just realized that my teacher, my herbalist teacher, is actually, a Reiki teacher as well. So I've just enrolled with her. I'm doing it almost as like an apprenticeship for 6 months, on a 1-to-2 basis. So me and another friend are going to be doing our level 3, and then doing up to our masters as well. So I'm really excited for that journey. It feels like the right time to be going a little bit deeper with that. And I know that, you kind of ask anybody over here, everybody's a Reiki master when you talk to them. So I do, there's a little bit of an uncomfortable feeling of kind of having that label. But for me, it's just kind of, being able to integrate it into what I already do. And then the other thing that I really am passionate about is teaching. So of course, with taking it to that master's level, I'll be able to offer teaching in it as well, and be able to attune people. And I'm really, really excited about that, and passionate about that as well. So that will be coming sort of next year sometime, again when I feel like it's integrated within me, and I'm taking my time. The one thing that I really liked about working with my teacher is that she does it like thoroughly. You take your time. It's not something that we're going to do on a weekend. It is this like good half of a year to do this. So I'm really excited to be doing it in a way that I wanted to do. I didn't want to do something quickly, and just to get like a certificate at the end. So yeah, looking forward to sharing more about that as it reveals itself. So yeah, in terms of this week, then 15th of May, I'm recording this episode. So on the Monday, it's dark moon week this week. So low energy, time to retreat, time to think about the things I said right at the beginning of this episode. So cleansing, releasing, closing out this current cycle from the new moon solar eclipse in Aries. So looking back at your journals, what were you writing about? What were your intentions? Has it all gone to plan? Probably not, because of all the retrogrades and eclipse energy. But what have you learned? What have you learned about yourself? What have you learned about those around you? yeah, what do you want to close out? And then what do you want to welcome in as we have the new moon in Taurus? And this real shift into the light half of the year. So I really feel this new moon in Taurus is that shift, is that change, and this is what I was saying before. It feeds back into treating, Bealtaine or Bealtaine as a season, because I don't feel that step through into the light half until this new moon in Taurus. That's what feels to me like, okay, this is it. So if that feels the same for you, like thinking about creating some beautiful ritual over the weekend to do with the new moon and to do with your intentions. It's been a weird year as well for having two new moon in Aries back to back. Yeah, so I feel like we've been waiting for this Taurus new moon. So that is taking place on Friday, the new moon. And so, yeah, really, you're looking at kind of Wednesday and Thursday are your dark moon days. I know I keep holding this pen. Um, so, yeah, thinking about rest, thinking about retreat, thinking about slowing down as we get towards the end of the week. And even when the new moon comes, it's still super low energy. I don't think we'll really be feeling that energized by the lunar cycle until next week. So yeah, just thinking about that in terms of what you're planning to do over the weekend. Can you stay in that quiet? Can you stay in that slowness? We've got our new moon circle on Friday night for our Green Witches group. So I'm excited to be gathering with everybody. We're going to be working with the plant daisy. So having that in our ceremony, I'm very excited. I have just loved doing this course this year. It's such a special group. And this is another thing that for me that I've really changed the way that I work. I really like having a group for the year and just closing off, from having to do marketing and social media posts about it. It's like, this is who we are, this is our group for the year, and then all my energy can go into the group rather than having to promote, on a monthly basis. So if you are feeling like, oh, I would really like to be joining in with that and I'd like to be part of that group, then just know that next year I will be opening up enrollment for the priestess training. So that's going to be the first spiral will be 12 months, and it's all going to be to do with priestess of Avalon, or being an Avalonian priestess, or however you want to call it, the Avalonian spiral. And yeah, we're really going to be digging into walking the path of Morgan Le Fay and what she stood for, what she stood against, and really looking at waking up the old ways within us, but integrating them with these modern times. So it's really looking at the path of the modern day priestess, but infused with all that beautiful history and energy of Morgan, and also the other goddesses that we'll be working with as well. So we're going to be looking at reclaiming Guinevere. We're going to be looking at the Lady of the Lake. We're going to be also looking at Merlin and working with his energy as well. We're going to be looking at a lot of kind of wounded archetypes and how to reclaim them within ourselves. And we're going to be looking a lot at rites of passage. So a big part of what we're going to be doing together next year is creating rites of passage for ourselves that we may not have had. And a big part of what we're doing next year is going to be healing the maiden. So, we're going to be doing a ceremony that is our, perhaps I would assume, missed maiden rites of passage ceremony, and really looking at that. And as I've been talking to some of my friends about it recently, we were like, this is really needed. There's a lot of wounding in that archetype, not being held, not having space held for us as we, perhaps moved in to menstruation. And we're going to be doing a ceremony around that as well. So yeah, I'm really, really excited. It's a lot of work to produce. But yeah, I'm really excited to be walking this path with with this group of women. And if you are interested, please reach out and let me know, and I can put you on my email list. So yeah, this and this is what I wanted to say about next year. Like, this isn't this isn't a course of, like, oh, that's interesting information, oh, that's interesting information. Like, it's a course that's going to work you. So I would just say, think really carefully about that. Like, I am aware that there's another trend of sort of collecting courses. I've definitely got the habit of this, where I'm like, what's the new thing, what's the new thing, what's the new thing? It's like, you know what, you haven't finished half of the things that you've signed up to. So I'm saying that to myself as well. But yeah, I'm not teaching from a performative point of view at all. It's not about me, oh, look, I'm a priestess now. You're not going to be a priestess after a year. This is, how do we start to embody this work? How do we start to go down this journey? What does that mean for us? And so much of this is going to be stuff that is going on that nobody knows about, that we're doing, in private, that we're doing in ritual, that we're doing in ceremony. And it's work, it's inner work, it's transformative, it's spiritual, it's beautiful. But it's not from a place of observing. I'm going to be asking people to really participate and come together in that way. So if you're not ready for that, that's fine. Just think, I'm going to park that, and I'll do it, maybe do it the following year, or just have a think. But yeah, if you're wanting to join, I want you to know that it's very collaborative. How do you say that word? It'll be collaboration. It'll be work, but it'll be amazing. So yeah, I'm looking at trying to get all the information for this up pretty soon, so people can start planning and deciding what they want to do. But if you're not ready for that and you still want to work with me next year, then what I'm gonna do, providing I can get all this done in time, I would like to make the course that we've done this year, the Green Witches year, a self-study course for next year. So obviously, those of you that have done it this year, this won't be of value to you, of benefit to you, because you've already got all the content. But those of you that haven't, and you would like to journey through the year in that way, everything will be there for you to do in a self study way. So all the beautiful workbooks, the prompts, the grimoire invitations, the rituals, and then the plant meditations as well. So there will be that option, which will be significantly less of an investment if that's where you're at. Or of course, if you're thinking more of along the lines of the priestess training, I'm looking at about the $1,200 mark for the year, which is incredibly reasonable for this type of training, with payment plans as well. But as I said, I will get more information to you as soon as I can. And then I'm thinking of kind of opening it up for enrollment around kind of October time. So yeah, I'll keep you posted on all of that. I think that's everything I wanted to share with you today. So yeah, thinking about eclipse season, thinking about Mercury stationing direct. How do you want to make peace with that time? How do you want to close out that time? What do you want to welcome in for the new moon in Taurus? And how can you give yourself space to honor this turning of the wheel of the year? Don't worry about the 1st of May. What does it mean to you in your land, your environment, your garden? And how can you honor this time between now and the summer solstice? So I would love to hear your thoughts about this episode. I'm sorry for the few rants, but they felt important, they felt needed, and I hope that you understand. And again, I would be really I'd be really interested to know your thoughts on these things and how they've landed. I'm not going to say when the next episode is going to be because I always feel like when I do that, something gets in the way of me creating another one. So I'll see you when I see you. Hopefully it'll be in a couple of weeks for the full moon. But yeah, I'll see you when I see you. All right, take care, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and I will see you again very soon. All right, bye.